Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. I am currently rigging up some more tackle for an upcoming event, and I think the hover rig is going to be a major player. So I'm going to have a couple of them rigged up in different sizes. When I say different sizes, I'm talking both different weights and different hook sizes so that I can use both small and big baits, fish deep and shallow. So I'm going to have a bunch of them rigged up, but I thought I'd do a quick video on some of my favorite soft plastics to put on the Core Tackle hover rig because I get questions all the time from you guys out there, as well as other people that I meet along the road. They're always asking me what my favorite baits are. So I figure I would give you some of my go-to baits. These are ones that you cannot go wrong with. But having said that, there are so many good soft plastic baits out there that you can pair with the hover rig that I just haven't even used at this point, because the reality is you can almost fish any soft plastic bait on the hover rig. Now, having said that, what I find generally is ones that have really big flappers don't tend to work as good as some of the ones that are more straight tailed or have straight appendages like a beaver style bait. Those tend to glide better than ones that have big, say, craw flappers, because those will tend to put the brakes on the gliding motion, is really what they do. So the baits still function fine. They just don't tend to have the same gliding motion that a lot of times is what you need to trigger those reaction strikes. So I thought I'd do a quick video just to answer some of the questions that I've been getting. Now, I really can't say I've got any specific order as to what bait I choose or like the cycle of baits that I go through. I really try to do it more based on water clarity, how deep I'm fishing, species that I'm fishing after. That tends to work better than just like saying this one works in all situations. That's just kind of what I find. I rotate through a lot of baits until I find one that the fish are really eating well. And a lot of times that comes down more towards the size and the color of the bait. So if you find a good bait, you still might want to try to play around with color a little bit. So I'll go over each of these. I'll put links in the video description. If you guys want to support the channel, you can use my Tackle Warehouse affiliate, which works phenomenally well in supporting the channel, and everything I make from that comes right back into making content for you guys. So with no further ado, these are the baits in no particular order. So one of my go-tos, this guy right here, this is a Jackal Rhythmwag. Now it comes in a bunch of different sizes. This is the 4.5-inch size. As you can see, the hover rig, you can actually probably see it in the middle. This is the 3/64 size one hook. We do have them up to well, we have larger sizes now. We have heavier duty ones that we call. We've got a 4/0 3/16 ounce. We've got a 6/0 hook that, if it's not out yet, it'll be out any day now. But it's really the idea of inserting the jig head into the middle. As you can see, I'll pop it out there so you can see it. So that's the jig head, and you just start it back, thread it on. And then here's one of the keys to it, like the easiest thing to rig it. When you get the plastic down to the jig, the hook eye, grab the hook like that, take your index finger, push on the eye, and just pop the bait up and over just like that, push it down, and it locks it right into place. But this guy right here, this Rhythmwag by Jackal, is an absolute go-to for me. Has crazy movement, and then that little split tail seems to generate a lot of really good strikes for me. So that's one that I love. Another one you hear me talk about quite a bit, the Bass Tricks Flash Tricks. So these are amazing for a couple of reasons. One, they're one of the most lifelike minnow-looking baits that I've ever used. You know, when you just look at it, it's just a straight kind of hollowed out. It's almost a tube. I couldn't tell you the process that they use, but it is a hollow bait, which is one of the keys with the hover rig. But when you're just looking at it, it's got a really good minnow profile, but in the water, it's got this really subtle tail kick, and it's got that glisten that a minnow has. It just is so good at matching natural forage. But then when you talk about taking the hover rig, because these baits are hollow, you've got a natural tube or a chamber that goes down it that'll makes them so easy to rig with respect to the hover rig. So you can get them in a bunch of different sizes. This is more of a longer 4-inch size, but they even make them down to like the 2-inch. This is the mini tricks. So this is the full flash tricks. This is the mini tricks that I've got rigged up on our size 4 hooks. So if you like crappie fishing or BFS, you might want to try some of our size 4 core tackle hover rigs. So that's just the little 2-inch size. That's a dynamite bait, just for catching everything. Perch, crappie, bluegill, bass, does not matter. Everything eats that little guy. But the Bass Tricks Flash Trick series is great on the hover rig. Today's video is brought to you by the Deep Dive app, which will help you select the best fishing places in the lake with features like the lake level, the current flow, the top baits tool, which will help you select the best baits for certain locations throughout the lake. Whether that's a clear water, stained water, dirty water, it'll choose the best bait for that location, provide you with all the information like what structure, what retrieve, different reel, all of the information that you need to catch the fish. This is in the app. The cool part about this app, though, is it's not just based on areas. It does provide you with specific tournament winning data that has been collected to help you figure out your best choices for baits and locations for whatever region of the lake it is that you want to fish. On top of that, not only does the app provide you with best locations, it gives you water clarity as well. So maybe you're on a lake like Lake Eufaula, where there is a bunch of different water clarity located throughout the entire lake. This will help you identify the clearest portions as well as the dirtiest portions of the lake. Plus, the Deep Dive app has now added the wind effect map, which is going to take all of the different wind conditions for the past couple of days and show you what banks on the lake are being hit the hardest. They also have inflow points that show you different places throughout the lake where your water is being flushed into the lake through different ditches and creeks and rivers, providing you with high percentage places to fish and letting you know what parts of the lake are going to be the best areas after a rain. Check out the Deep Dive app to help you become a better angler. This is kind of the one that started it for me. So this is the 4¼ inch Berkeley Max Scent Flatworm. We all know how good this is for smallmouth on a drop shot, but because it's got the flat bottom, you put it on the hover rig, this bait glides extremely well. You get good tail kick out of it, and it just generates a lot of bites from both largemouth and smallmouth. You can't go wrong with it. And I originally started using the 4¼ inch because at that time we only had size 1 hooks or bigger. But now with our smaller hooks, I definitely still throw the little 3½, the traditional size Max Scent Flatworm. But this one is really good on it. Another one of my favorites. This is the Kitech Shad Impact. Has amazing movement in the water. And if you rig it right, not every time you can get it to do it, but if you rig it right, when you pull on it, it actually comes at you like a lipless crankbait. You get phenomenal side-to-side vibration out of it, and that just sends the whole bait to a whole new level. It's one of the few baits I've found that I can do it on a pretty consistent basis. And there's something just special about this guy. So you got to think about getting one of these if you like the hover rig. That's the 4-inch Shad Impact, but they make it in, I think, a 3, 4, I think they make it up to a 6-inch. I could be wrong on that, but a really, really good natural bait. And then another one that I really, really like to use, and this is probably going to throw some of you off, but your favorite soft stick bait. So this is a Berkeley Max Scent the General. That's the one I like to use. If you like to use a Senko, or maybe you like to use, I'm trying to think of the other ones. You got like the Yum Dinger. Every company out there has a soft stick bait. But when you rig this on a hover rig, the gliding motion on it is ridiculous. Like I'm talking the bait will glide at times 5, 6, 7 feet at like a 45-degree angle. So if you're in 10 feet of water, it's not unusual for that bait to glide 8 to 10 feet over to a different side. So you really can get to the point where you can work these and manipulate them in a really good manner. And you still get a lot of that good kind of shimmy that you get on a wacky rig, because the weights can be so light, but it can be a really, really good bait. I've taken it down to Florida and had some amazingly good days in the same places you kind of pitch it around. a really lightly weighted Texas rig, I would just use the weedless version of the hover rig to do it. But those are kind of my go-tos. But again, I really do not want to steer you away from anything else, because the more I try different baits, the more I find that they all work really well as well. You know, my little boy Hank is always playing with different baits. He loves the 3-inch Pit Boss. You guys probably have seen me fishing the Creature Hog on it. He throws flukes on it. He throws straight tail, anything straight tailed he uses. He'll put anything on it, and he's always catching fish on it. So it's really one of those setups where you can rig it to your strengths, and you can rig the baits that you really prefer to use. But these just happen to be some of my absolute favorites. So hopefully that answers a lot of the questions I get regarding what baits I like to use on the hover rig. And go check them out. If you haven't tried one yet, I'll put the link as well for the hover rig to Tackle Warehouse, so you can check them out there. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for supporting Core Tackle. If you enjoyed today's video, hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Stay tuned. New video coming out tomorrow.